So I have a question.
Yeah.
On the topic about body count.
Sure.
So you're saying that men don't really have a lot of sex with a lot of different women, and I've heard it that a lot of guys are asking things like they want to verify a woman's body count. And so is that why, in your opinion, that you think that men get really emotional when they hear the actual body count of a woman?
Well, that's a new age practice because I want to say this just outright. A guy with the game doesn't ask for her body count. That's just like not smart
it's
at
a
all.
dumb question.
But if they did that, it shows that they're very inexperienced in itself.
Yeah. There's a biological reason why men have such an issue with women that are promiscuous and women that have high body counts. And the reason for that is because before the advent of modern technology, to put it simply, if I had sex with a girl, right, and we didn't have birth control, we didn't have paternity tests, I wouldn't know if the kid was mine. So the biggest fear for a man is raising a child that he thought was his and he finds out later on isn't his, right? It's like our worst fear. We're investing in resources and time and attention and love and care into offspring that isn't even ours. The only thing men really ask for is don't be a hoe so that I can ensure that the child is mine. That's like the biggest betrayal. So that's why guys have an issue with a girl that has a high body count, because the higher a woman's body count, the less likely that the child is yours. I mean, I know we have paternity tests now, but you got to remember that in our animal brain, we didn't have all these modern conventions that we have now, right? I mean, think about it. Women still want a guy that's strong, tall, charismatic, charming, right? But you have police, you have entertainment, you have protection. You can buy your own gun. Why do you need a tall, strong guy? But it's hardwired in your brain. You still want that. Even though we have modern conventions that solve that problem, you still want these traits in your partner. Same thing with men. Even though we have paternity tests, we still want a girl that's not a hoe.
But isn't that a mating ideologue?
It's a reproductive strategy.
Yeah, like you want to mate with someone that is protective, is smart, is brilliant, that can bring an offspring.
Yeah, but men don't. So that's from the female perspective. But the male perspective, it's absolutely true. I mean, they've actually done studies on this. They found that the higher a woman's IQ, the less likely that she'll be married. And for every IQ,
I've read that. I've heard about that.
Yeah, like for every IQ point that a man goes up, his likelihood of being married goes up. For every IQ point that a woman goes up, the likelihood of her being married goes down. So what does that tell you? That tells you that men don't screen for intelligence or competence or confidence or ambition. Men don't screen for these things because men don't look for survival value. Women look for survival value. So it's very important that you're with a competent partner. With us, we look for replication value and making sure that the kid is ours. So we're looking for a young, fertile woman that isn't a whore.
So why do a lot of basketball players or NBA players date a certain archetype of women?
You mean like Zion
I feel like
Williamson?
I'm not naming anybody, but what I'm saying is they date a certain type of woman, and they're usually tall. You know, and we're not going to go to the other
maybe
part.
we never heard of them before.
Can you specify what demographic you're? Because there's a lot of NBA players that date women that might not match that demographic. So can you specify what do you mean?
You know, like the black players, they're dating white, tall, blonde women.
Mm-hmm.
That look like, I don't know, they could be on OnlyFans or something like that. But I think why do they date these women? You know, like
youth and beauty are the most important things to men, and age a lot of the times ties into that.
But you don't think they're breeding to make other more basketball players?
They are, for sure.
I think they're breeding.
They call them breeders, actually.
Yeah, that's
when they see a tall, like pretty woman, especially like
but
a lot of them like
that only proves my point that men are looking for replication.
They call them breeders. Yeah, I mean, I've heard the term.
Like men have a very high interest in a woman's sexual appeal for replication value. What? Are you confused about something? What?
Oh no, I think I wasn't just talking in my mic.
No. Oh, but what were you saying?
I think basketball player or not, a man is trying to find a woman that's breedable.
That's what I think, because it's like a family line. It's like an inheritance. Like you want your kids to grow up and be athletes, you know, like.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If you're an NBA player, right, and you're really attractive and you got a bunch of girls coming after you, then you can afford to be a bit more selective and go into the weeds and say, I'm 6'10", I want a girl that's 6 foot. Cool. But most guys don't have that same level of ability to be that selective. So Most guys will just take what they can get.
So you're saying that they're taking what they could get?
Most guys will take what they can get.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're an NBA player, top 1.001%, yeah, you can afford to say, I only want to date a Swedish model that's 6 foot tall, that's super attractive. But what you don't see is that he's also going to go ahead and bang a girl that's 5'2". He's also going to have a mistress that's 5'5".
Right.
He's going to have another girl that's 5'7".
4'8".
Maybe if he wants some strange. So like,
If he wants something better.
She's back
so
on.
men, you got to understand that like men's attraction standards are not nearly as rigid as a female's. Our thing is like, yo, is she hot? Not a whore? Okay, cool, I'll commit to her. But that's why men have such an issue with body count.
Controversial question. So why do they pick Kardashians?
Who are you speaking about
It's a
specifically?
status thing, though.
Just the family.
It's a
in
status
general.
thing.
I don't
That's what
have
it really
any.
is.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's
I
just
mean,
status.
guess
Are
who
you
performed
referring to
in
like
my
maybe a Kanye West or
birthday?
something, or who are you referring
Tristan
to?
Thompson.
There's basketball players that they've dated. I mean, I
Chris
think a
Humphries,
couple of them have
Tristan
dated
Thompson.
basketball players.
It's,
So
it's just status.
yeah.
Yeah, but
But
most
they
guys
didn't have status before, right?
Hmm?
They didn't have status. I think Kim Kardashian was just like Brandy's like wardrobe manager or something like that.
Yeah, she gained status after the Ray J sex
Right.
tape. Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule. But in general, most guys would prefer to not wife up a promiscuous woman because it comes with issues. I mean, look at Logan Paul right now. Image is getting destroyed because he decided to get engaged with a girl that has a very shady past. Look at Will Smith. Jada Pinkett Smith has absolutely tarnished his
What are your
reputation.
thoughts on that?
I mean, it's an embarrassment. I mean, people
What
are
did
not
Jada
going to remember him. Basically, what she did was she had sex with August, who was like a
Alsina.
teenager, kid that they, I think, adopted. She had an affair with him, and then she went on the red table and said, oh, we got in an entanglement, didn't take accountability or whatever. And this is what I tell guys, I mean, controversial takes or whatever, but I tell men in general, you should never commit to a woman that has a promiscuous past. And the reason why is because it will rear its ugly head and absolutely destroy your reputation and your tarnish your legacy. People aren't going to remember Fresh Prince of Bel-Air anymore. They're not going to remember,
I Am
Independence
Legend.
Day, I Am Legend,
Yeah.
Ali. They're not going to remember 7 Pounds. They're not going to remember any of these movies. They're going to remember him sitting at the edge of a red table crying because his wife decided to bang a 20-year-old, which is ridiculous.
So the
But-
tables were turned in their situation. Usually the man wants a younger woman after his woman gets older, and he's the one that cheats.
But the
Well-
impact is different.
Yeah, you're talking about
Yeah.
like societal constraints, right? Like
It's a double standard.
And you also
Yeah,
got to
it's
remember that
definitely
he
a
had
double
status. He was a
standard.
musician. There was an emotional bond. This is a very different situation. And, obviously she's past her prime. She was old at that point. She didn't necessarily have the same sexual market pull that she had 20 years prior when she was dealing with someone like a Tupac. So, and I'll put it simply. If a woman cheats on her man, she's going to tarnish that man's reputation. He loses social value for that. But if a man cheats on his woman, she's not necessarily going to lose social value. If anything, I would argue she would gain social value and
respect.
and credibility by sticking by her man. Look at Kobe Bryant's wife.
Vanessa Bryant.
No one cares that he cheated on her with some other girl. They just know that she stood by him,
She did.
right?
She
And
did.
she still she carries the last name and she's respected for that.
Yep.
Beyonce, she's with Jay-Z still, even after he cheated with her.
Shit.
So I would argue that it's in a woman's best interest if you're with a higher status guy, just stay with him because you're going to gain a better reputation for sticking by him. I know
You're
some
gonna
girls
live
might
better.
try. Please stop interrupting me. I understand that some girls might make fun of you and say you're stupid. You stay with him. I think you're stupider for leaving. So I don't know. I
It's
think women gain status if they're cheated on and they stay. Versus if a man gets cheated on, it's an embarrassment.
Yeah, it just would be harder to want to. It would be like you would lose respect for that man and lose attraction for
But
them.
you're not with the high value man because you respect him, honey.
What?
Yes. I mean, you should.
You
Wait,
should.
what?
You should.
Just by default, you should be respect a
Respectful.
high value
Right.
man.
No, you're
But if he
there to
cheats on
play
you,
a
I don't-
role.
No,
You're
you're
there to
not.
be the beautiful wife, to play the role. To
Yeah, but
So
by
then it's not
default,
true
it's not
image.
just playing games. By default, you respect a man like that. It's not play pretend.
There's
By
no way you
default,
can end up with
you
him.
will respect a man who exemplifies
It's
those
default if
characteristics.
he respects you and you get the respect back. And if you don't get the respect back, then I understand what you coming from, my love. You just getting disrespected.
Honey,
and
no
you
one
just being
understands what
main-
the you're talking about this whole time. We're just gonna
really,
be real.
because I'm playing with the fake accent, really.
What?
Because I'm playing with the fake accent.
and you're not the
am I?
first, and you will not be the last, and it's okay.
And I won't be the
Okay.
last to
He's
beat
playing
your eyes.
Oh yeah. Okay, stop.
I
Let's
won't.
go.
No.
Okay.
Is she still
I think she needs to leave. Guys, Frank Castle, bro. Frank Castle is insane.
What's going on right now, bro?
I barely said anything. She was triggered by the
I'm
mother comment
sorry.
that I made because
I'm
it was
sorry.
a fact.
Guys,
She doesn't respect her
I'm
man.
sorry. I'm
Can you just chill out for 2 seconds?
all right. I will chill for 2 seconds because
listen.
I can chill.
Please,
Back
all right.
accent.
Please sit down.
All right.
What is
sit
happening?
down.
I can't really tell.
All right,
Going
just how we letting everybody know
Hey,
you
hey.
fake, because I could have
Hey,
brought you right
yeah,
outside. You ain't say nothing. You
Okay.
Hey,
Well,
in
number
front of my
one.
face. I love that.
Okay. You need to chill out for 2 seconds.
I
You need to really
will.
relax.
I got you.
Yeah,
Fish.
you need to relax.
I'm sorry. I got you, Fresh.
Uh,
I'm
His
sorry.
name isn't Fresh.
His name is Fit.
I wasn't talking to you. No, love.
Okay.
No, was I?
Just
no,
chill.
love.
Just stop talking. Just stop talking for 2
I
seconds.
wasn't talking to you.
Stop
love.
talking. Stop talking.
Hey,
Stop talking.
relax.